Hello internet dwellers, I'm Oki, and I want to start this video off by saying that I actually liked Sadako vs. Kayako. A lot of people will probably be disappointed by the film for one specific reason, which I will get to in a bit. I also want to say that if you're expecting a film with like a really elaborate plot, you best look elsewhere, because this movie is just as silly as it sounds. But in the best way possible, I think. One of my favorite things about the film is that it's super self-aware. It takes place in a universe where everyone already knows about the curses, especially Sadako's curse. So they really don't waste a lot of time trying to retell the backstories, which is good because the demographic for this film is the hardcore fans. Now, I'm sure most of you already know the basic plot. There are technically two main characters, one being cursed by the tape, and then the other one getting cursed by the Saiki house. The first main character is named Yuri, and her best friend, Natsumi, asks her to help transfer an old wedding videotape to her computer. So obviously they need a VHS player to do so, right? They do end up finding one at a pawn shop, but let's just say that they get a little more than they bargained for. Sadako's infamous curse tape happens to be inside the VHS player. That is some really shitty luck. The second main character's name is Suzuka, and we first meet her when she's moving in next to the Saiki house. Now, if you've seen the last two Ju-on films, Beginning of the End and The Final Curse, then you know that, I guess it's sort of a spoiler, but you'll know that the Saiki house was burned down in those films. Well, it's not burned down in this film, which means that this film is not part of that continuity. Thank goodness. And I have to say, I guess it would have been really easy to just have her move into the Saiki house. It's like the most basic thing they could have done. And they didn't do that. Granted, moving in next to it isn't like mind-blowing either, but I like that they chose that instead. Yuri and Natsumi end up watching the cursed tape, of course, and very quickly realize that what they saw is bad news. In fact, they just coincidentally came out of a class where they learned about all these urban legends, and their professor is like super obsessed with the cursed tape. So obviously he's the guy to go to, right? They briefly go into the rules of the tape, how you actually have to show it to someone else rather than just make a copy, and just like sort of the technicalities of the tape. And of course they try various different ways of getting out of it. They also changed the rules of the cursed tape. You don't die after 7 days of watching it. In this film, you die after just 2 days. Now meanwhile, Suzuka's also kind of getting bad vibes from the Saiki house. She sees a little boy standing outside of it, and some other kids kind of bully him into going inside. He asks her to walk away. When then she keeps having dreams about the little boy inside the house, so she ends up going inside as well, which again does not go well. Now the plot is so simple that I don't really want to explain it in full detail because it'll give a lot away. But two other characters come into the mix, and they're both psychic, a male and a young girl. I totally forgot their names. Oh, the little girl's name is Tamao, and then the guy's name is Kyozo. And they basically serve as the psychic mediums that are going to dispel both curses by pitting them against each other. Now I have to give the director a lot of props because I truly think, first of all, he was the best choice, probably, for this film. But I think he did a really good job directing the Sadako scenes and the Kayako scenes. It sort of plays like Freddy vs. Jason, where it's like they have their own scenes by themselves and they really don't mash together till the end. And the stuff that he pulls off isn't necessarily original, because there's so many films in the series already. So we've kind of already seen this stuff before, but he executes it so well. I kind of wish that Sadako 3D and the Ju-on reboots were like this. I mean, this film's kind of over the top as well, but not quite to that extent. Now, one of the things I kept wondering about was if Takako Fuji was actually playing Kayako. Because in Beginning of the End and the Final, it was a totally different actress, and she did okay for the most part, but obviously she did not live up to Takako Fuji. This film actually does not star Takako Fuji as Kayako. The new actress playing her is named Runa Endo, and she actually did a really good job. A lot of people thought that it was Takako Fuji from the trailers, because there are a lot of moments where it actually does look like her. Sadly it's not, but thankfully I thought she did amazing. And even the actress that played Sadako did a really good job. I didn't really think that Sadako was scary in Sadako 3D and Sadako 3D 2. She kind of just popped up all over the place and her movements weren't creepy like the original Ring film. But in this film, she does have very distinct movements. I think a lot of fans will appreciate the individual Sadako and Kayako scenes. However, back to the thing that I think most people will be disappointed about. The fight. I thought the fight was done very, very well. I had no problems with it, but it's only like, I don't know, like a minute long, maybe less, maybe 2 minutes. They don't really go at it very long, and I feel like so many people are going to be mad about that. And I said this in one of my other videos too, when you have a title, Sadako versus Kayako, that's what the audience is going to want to go see. Like I said, I personally wasn't disappointed. I think it was done so well that I just didn't mind it. But if you were expecting like at least a 10-minute fight scene between the two, doesn't happen. It has like a really good slow build, but once it starts, it kind of just ends. And I bet a lot of you are wondering who won the battle. Well, I'm not going to tell you that because that just kind of ruins the fun. And the way they think they're going to defeat them kind of backfires on them. In like the cheesiest but coolest way possible. You just gotta see it. I really don't want to spoil the ending of all things in this video. There are some things that I do want to spoil just for the sake of discussing what could have been better in my opinion. For one, the cursed video is totally different in this movie. It's not a montage of Sadako's memories, it's just like a 10-second shot of a hallway, and well, actually it's in the trailer. It's in trailer number 2, I think. It's how the preview starts. It's that hallway. That's basically it. They do implement Sadako's weird movements, which worked for me, but I mean, I thought if they were gonna recreate the cursed videotape, this was their chance to either make it more like loyal to the original novel, or just take the creative reins and like make something totally creepy. Plus, the cursed video is so iconic. I feel like they really could have done something so much better with it. I'm thinking maybe the film's runtime had something to do with it, but they only had to show it once, right? Another thing that I didn't like was the fact that Sadako's victims always had hair coming out of their mouths. I know that long black hair is sort of like a Japanese horror staple, but I always thought that was more of a Kayako thing, not so much Sadako. This was another missed opportunity in my opinion with Sadako's victims. Of course, in the American remake of The Ring, they really exaggerated the distorted faces of the victims, and I kind of wish they had played that up a little bit more, but instead they rely on the hair in their mouth. There's even a scene where Yuri, who's infected by Sadako's curse, gets in the shower and she sees like a cloud of hair up in the ceiling. Which sure is iconic and comes out in a lot of Japanese horror films, but again, I feel like that was more of a Kayako thing. I didn't really understand why that scene was even in the film in general, because it didn't go anywhere. It was just a scare for scare's sake. And see, they could have easily replaced that by having a Towel Man cameo or something. Now, the last thing that I think they could have changed is the characters. It's already a long movie, but I kind of wish we would have seen a little bit more of the characters before they got into this mess. We didn't really get to know them individually, and I know that's not the point of the film, and I don't want to be that douchebag that's like, oh, this film lacked character development, because again, that wasn't the point. But, you know, a little 10-second scene of Yuri talking about her goals after graduating, or Suzuka talking about why she didn't want to move. I feel like that could have made the film just a little bit stronger. Overall, though, like I said in the beginning of the film, I personally really enjoyed it. But it's not for everyone, especially if you're expecting a long fight scene. I think if you're a fan of the characters, you'll appreciate the film. But if you're not really a fan of either franchise, or you prefer the American remakes, well, you might not like it. But I promise you that it is better than Sadako 3D, Sadako 3D 2, Ju-on The Beginning of the End, and Ju-on The Final Curse. Anyway, the film actually comes out on DVD this Friday in Japan. Only in Japan. There's a film streaming website called Shudder that attained the US rights to the film, so I know they're going to be streaming it sometime soon. I don't know if they're releasing a DVD or not, but the Japanese Blu-ray is Region A, which will play in American Blu-rays or a PS4. The only catch is that there's no English subtitles. So if you'd rather not watch it without subtitles, it's probably not worth getting. But actually the Blu-ray comes with a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you probably can't see it if I just show it with my tablet, but it comes with like a booklet and some ghost photos and like a slipcase. And I mean, for people who like collecting shit like me, it's probably worth it without subtitles. Once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay scared.